What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Hopefully you had a good weekend. Overall, had a lot of fun here. We actually unboxed that SpiderMan PS4 Pro, which looks awesome. I really like the look of that system. The controller, is okay, but the system looks really cool with the logo and everything on the side. Nice red color. Looks pretty neat. Did a full unboxing and actually took it apart a bit too to check it out, see if there's any differences. Did that on Sunday, and then of course Saturday the Spawn cast and the Saturday show. So if you missed any of that, I'll leave all those videos up in the card above the video here. Also, we're coming up on 140,000 subs. Probably, maybe even overnight that happened. So we're going to finish that giveaway up today. The link's still down in the description, but we're going to finish that up today and pick a couple winners, give away some Monster Hunter games for the Switch, and then move on and see what we can come up with for the 150,000 sub giveaway, guys. A lot of fun. But today we have some stuff to get into. We got to talk about the Nintendo Switch cloud save stuff that's going on, because Nintendo did respond over the weekend, kind of talking a bit about really the ones that are incompatible, even the first-party ones. We're going to talk a bit about that. First, though, let's get into some of the quick news. Black Ops 4. The beta for Blackout starts today on the PS4. Now, if you didn't know, they are going to have a beta across the PS4, the Xbox One, and the PC. And the PS4 version is first. That's actually going to start today at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're waiting for the Xbox One beta, that's going to start September 14th. And then the PC beta, that'll start also September 14th, with the Blackout beta for the PC starting September 15th. Everything ends September 17th. So if you don't have a code yet and you wanted to try it out, you're probably going to have to pre-order from a place and then decide if you want it after that. I guess you can technically cancel your pre-order, but you should get a code and then you can jump into Blackout mode. Blackout mode's the one that's the thing that would be able to sell me on this game, because multiplayer was okay. It wasn't amazing, but this looks like the first big budget AAA take, as they themselves say, on the Battle Royale craze. And they say it's going to start with 80 players, and the trailer they showed looked pretty good, so we'll see. I'll talk about my impressions of it like I did with the multiplayer. And I'm hoping this is the mode that they really spent their time on. Also, I've been playing Spider-Man a lot. I'm sure like a lot of you have been. The game is really good. I'm having a blast. Reminds me of Spider-Man 2 from like the PS2 Xbox days. Has that kind of feeling. So I am loving it. And there's also a lot of little details in the game, which is really cool. Whether it's they put Greg Miller in the game as the shirtless Spider-Man, or down to the tiniest of details, like this Twitter user actually pointed out, Sunheed Legend, where on the side of the rockets, the ones they shoot at you, the fine print says guaranteed to kill spiders. So there are a lot of little details they put in this game, and something like that, just the smallest Easter egg that a developer decided to put in there, just that attention to detail, like the writing on a little rocket, is really cool. I'm really liking this game, and people are finding all kinds of stuff in the open New York City world, so it's pretty cool, and I'm going to keep playing. I'll give my impressions on it when I'm finished, and I'm looking to hopefully have the game beaten and done probably by tomorrow at this point. Also, a little bit of Crackdown 3 news. This is a game that's very interesting to me because I feel like there's something wrong with the game and they won't tell us, but we're going to find out, I guess, in February. Now, it was supposed to come out really alongside the launch of the Xbox One X. Doesn't, and then it's not coming out this year. It's coming out in February next year, 22nd. Aaron Greenberg sat down with GameIndustry.biz and pretty much said we didn't need Crackdown 3 for this holiday because there's so many third-party games. Of course, the one first-party game that they really have coming out is Forza Horizon. That's coming out October 2nd, which it looks good, but the Crackdown 3 could have been a really cool first-party game to have for the holiday, but they say they didn't need it. So look at it that way. Apparently they're polishing it up. So this game is going to have pressure just to be good, since they've pushed it back so many times now. We heard about this thing back in 2014. It's going to come out in 2019. So we'll see what happens here. But this game, I get the feeling that there's just something wrong with the game. And I have a feeling it has to do with that multiplayer on that server side where the destruction and everything was happening. But Microsoft seems confident with this holiday. I just think Microsoft right now is just ready to get to the next generation. I think they're done with the generation consoles with the PS4 and the Xbox One. They just want to get to the next one and I guess see what Scarlett has for them. With some of the quick news out of the way, guys, let's jump into some of the bigger stuff. We're going to start with the Nintendo Switch cloud saves. We know that's a part of the paid online service that is coming up. We assume it's going to be detailed in the Nintendo Direct that is going to be rescheduled for sometime this week if it hasn't already been announced this morning. So we know we're going to find out a lot about all of that, but we already know some stuff about cloud saves. We know that it's not going to be compatible with all games. It's going to be kind of an opt-in thing that developers do, and apparently they have to have a very good reason to not use cloud saves. Now, some of the first-party ones that Nintendo has pointed out, outside of the third parties like NBA 2K19 and Dead Cells, is Splatoon 2 and Pokemon Let's Go. And it's very weird why this is the case for a lot of people, considering Splatoon 2 doesn't back up at all. That's right, it's not on a server somewhere, like, because it's all multiplayer. You figure maybe it works like a Call of Duty or something, where all the information is saved to their server and you can log in from anywhere. No, it's all local on your system. So cloud saves makes a lot of sense there. Well, they're not going to support it. And Nintendo finally gave a response over the weekend to Game Informer. And this is what they said. The vast majority of Nintendo Switch games will support save data cloud backup. However, in certain games, this feature would make it possible to, for example, regain items that had been traded to other players or revert to a higher online multiplayer ranking that had been lost. To ensure fair play, save data cloud backup may not be enabled for such games. To ensure that save data cloud backups cannot be used to unfairly affect online multiplayer rankings, the feature will not be enabled in Splatoon 2. So apparently the Pokemon situation is a bit different, as people, fans of the Pokemon games and everything, have kind of come out on Twitter and said there are some things they would have to work through when it comes to duplicating Pokemon, although I think there are ways around that. I feel like Nintendo could make all of this work, and I expect them to eventually, since it's not really free anymore, it's paid. You're going to pay to get this stuff all done, to get cloud saves, except for certain games. But what's weird about this situation is they say they don't want there to be unfair, just unfairness on their online game of Splatoon 2. Has Nintendo played Splatoon 2 online? The Switch is opened up to hackers already. I don't even know why you'd use a save game to hack the Switch when you just need a paperclip to hack the Switch. It's very open. It's probably the easiest system ever to hack, to be honest, because you don't need much to do it. And people are already hacking Splatoon 2 like crazy. All the information is on your Switch. Apparently you can just edit values there, and there you go. Your rank, X or whatever, you're good. It seems to be a very easy game to modify and gain unfair advantages in without cloud saves. Like, cloud saves aren't here now, but people are hacking Splatoon 2 up and down like crazy. So I'm not really sure what the deal is with this. This was not a good response, essentially. This wasn't a good response. This is not a good explanation. And it doesn't really explain why, really, they don't have cloud saves. So Splatoon 2 is probably the one game that I would have expected cloud saves to be there. It just sounds like Nintendo designed Splatoon 2 incorrectly from the start for the online multiplayer, considering it's all on your Switch. And it's not, if it was server side, we wouldn't even be talking about this. We'd be like, oh, what about the single player stuff? People usually just play. People are racking up the hours online. They're not really racking up the hours in the single player, right? If the online was like, I don't know, Halo 2 from 2004, then it wouldn't be a big deal. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Halo 2 from 2004. That was server side. And I'm not really sure why that's the case here. It's a very weird situation with this whole thing. It wasn't as bad before because, like, with Nintendo's online service in the past, it was free. Now we're paying for it. So there's some explaining to do there. And the money, you would assume, is being invested back in to figure this stuff out. So I would expect Splatoon 2 to eventually support cloud saves. It seems like Nintendo is still not ready to launch this online service, but they should be, because they delayed it from like months ago. Like, I was supposed to launch in like December is when the press releases were ready to go out and everything. And now we're almost a year later, and it feels like they're still not there yet. It's hard to explain at all. So I don't really know how Nintendo can explain it. But let me know what you guys think about the situation down in the comments. I'm sure there's a lot of confusion already. We'll get to this direct. We'll see if they have any new information for us, and then we'll move on from there. When the online launches, I'm sure we'll see what we can do with it and how it all works and everything. But right now, it is not looking like a good online service for even $20. Next up, let's talk about Rocksteady. This is a studio that I've been watching and waiting to figure out what their next game is. I thought it was going to be E3. They were not at E3 at all. And of course, you probably know Rocksteady from the Arkham series, right? Whether it's Arkham Asylum, City, or Knight. They did a very good job with the Batman games. I loved Arkham Asylum specifically. I know people like City, but maybe it was just because it was the first one, but Asylum was awesome. Knight was okay. It got off to such a bad start on PC. They kind of turned it around eventually, but it was still a good game. And Rocksteady has proven that they can make superhero games, which is why we assume, with all the rumors out there and speculation, that they are working on either a Superman game or a Justice League game. One of the two. I mean, there's a lot of Easter eggs and stuff kind of pointing to that throughout the Arkham series. So we feel like that's what they're going to cap it off with. Maybe they could finally tackle the issue with Superman in video games, which is that he's too powerful, so it's hard to make a video game around Superman without the game just being easy, I guess, or hard, actually, because we need to fly through those rings. That was tough, but it looks like we're going to find out soon-ish, and I actually kind of have an idea as to when they're going to make the announcement, which I'll tell you about here in a second. Looks like they're looking for a community manager. It's a full job listing here that you're seeing, and it actually reads, Rocksteady Studios is seeking a passionate, experienced community manager to join the team at their North London studio in a temporary role. In collaboration with our Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment colleagues, the role will primarily involve the execution of digital initiatives across the full range of online, social, and community channels. Additionally, the role will frequently involve live gameplay presentations for various audiences. The successful candidate's deep understanding of social media, highly developed presentation skills, and experience in community management coupled with a love of video games will form the driving force behind an innovative and effective promotional campaign for a highly anticipated upcoming AAA title. So this is a temporary role, specifically more than likely to push this game out the door, to talk with people, to be a PR person essentially, to talk with potential customers, or just communicate back and forth easily on social media and stuff. So it looks like they're gearing up and getting ready to announce this game, and then of course it's the run to the finish line to eventually release this game. So that's what this person would be helping with, is the communication, just the overall presence online for this game that we assume is a superhero game, more than likely Superman or Justice League. So this is exciting because this means that they're probably looking to tell us about it soon. And when I think about this, I think about times that they could really announce this to a big stage, or on a big stage to a ton of people. And I kind of think right now that it would be a good spot to put it for something like the Game Awards. That's in December, first week in December. And that's a good spot. Remember, we had Bayonetta 3 announced at the last one, and everyone freaked out about that. Let's drop Rocksteady in there with like Superman, and that would set the internet on fire. People would go crazy. I would be really excited for that. I would like to see Rocksteady take a shot at a Superman game, but hey, we'll see. It does sound like they're amping up for it. They apologized. They weren't at E3, but they said we'll hear from them soon. I'm putting my money on the Game Awards. I think that is probably the best spot to really drop that trailer, and it would be really cool. And our last bit of news, let's talk about SpiderMan Sales, because that's something people have been very curious about. How is Spider-Man selling? Will it be able to beat God of War, since God of War was Sony's best-selling IP, first-party IP ever? But something about Spider-Man, obviously the recognition and everything, the teen rating, which helps more than I think people realize, really had me assuming that it would be able to outsell God of War, and it got off to a great start in the UK. We're actually going to take a look at the UK sales charts here, but first we're going to talk a bit about what Spider-Man is doing there that's so impressive. The first thing is, it beat out Far Cry 5 for the best debut so far this year in the UK. Far Cry 5 was outsold by Spider-Man. Far Cry 5 was out on the Xbox One and the PS4. Spider-Man's only PS4, but in the first week, cruises past Far Cry 5 for the best-selling game so far this year in its debut week, and it nearly doubled God of War's sales in its first week on the market in the UK, and that is massive, because God of War was a big debut, but Spider-Man's was almost double the amount. It was bigger than Far Cry 5, which is a big debut as well, so Spider-Man is cruising along. Also, I want to point out one other game here on this chart that I think is going to surprise some people. Here are the top 10s for the UK sales charts. We see Spider-Man at the top. Look at number 2, though. Dragon Quest XI is number 2. And that is actually a big deal in the UK. I'm going to be curious how it does in MPDs as well, obviously, for September. When we get to next month, we can look at those. Grand Theft Auto 5, like I said, never going away. F1 2018. Crash Bandicoot, which is sticking around heavily in the top 5 at all times in the UK. Pro Evolution Soccer 2019, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Destiny 2, which was a new entry debut, but a lot of people probably bought that digitally as it was right on their dashboard. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and Lego The Incredibles. So there's a lot to take away from these sales charts. It's pretty clear Spider-Man is going to be a runaway success. Just the recognition of Spider-Man, like everybody likes Spider-Man pretty much, and the fact they bundled him with a console, and they did a lot of stuff right here to get this out the door and to make it. They've shown us Spider-Man forever, and we're ready to buy it, and everybody went out and pretty much bought it, from what I could tell. If you look online, Twitter, Facebook, pretty much everywhere, everyone's talking about Spider-Man, and you know what? It's a good game. It's lived up to the hype, and I'm really enjoying it. Teen rating. I'm sure parents are buying for their kids, whereas parents probably weren't buying God of War for their kids as much. But so far, so good there. Dragon Quest XI surprised me a bit because it was understocked in the US. I know this myself. I saw it firsthand. When I went to Walmart, they had like 3 copies, and that was it. And they always overstock everything at Walmart. They had like 3 copies. And I have a feeling, just based on what other people have said in their areas, it doesn't look like they stocked it well. But the UK went out and bought Dragon Quest XI, and I'm going to be curious to see how the MPDs do here as well in the US for Dragon Quest XI, because that is a game that I wasn't really expecting, a JRPG style game like this to be number 2 in the UK, to beat Grand Theft Auto 5, as weird as that is to say. Yeah, to beat Grand Theft Auto 5. It's very interesting to see that. We'll see how it sticks around on the charts, and then we'll see how it does over in the US, where I'm not 100% sure how a JRPG like that will do, especially in the same week as Spider-Man. But hey, doesn't look like Spider-Man affected it too much in the UK. People still bought it. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave today. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button. Really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it's Nintendo's online service for the cloud saves. Let me know what you think about that whole situation, and if you're a little frustrated that it seems like cloud saves aren't a given even for all the first-party titles, and it seems like Nintendo is more or less saying, well, we can't do anything about it, so we're not going to do anything about it. Let me know about that down below. What about Spider-Man and the sales? Are you happy with Spider-Man so far? Are you disappointed by it? Or are you surprised by the sales? Or did you expect that it was just going to really just roll forward and probably be Sony's best-selling game ever? Let me know, guys, down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.